Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. And I am your host, Dr. Christopher Liu. As you know, I'm always talking about freedom in all different forms: financial, time, location, and health freedom. And in that light, I'm always scouring the globe looking for entrepreneurs, people on the margin, the cutting edge, impacting the world. So today we have Holly Medwid, and she's the CEO of Monarch Social Media. And she's had really a lot of experience with marketing, growth, online strategy, and today's going to be a great discussion. I'm really happy to talk to her. So, Holly, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I know we had connected through Podmatch, and it's a great resource. And so, tell the audience about yourself and how you got started, and we'll get into the conversation.
Wonderful. So I got my start in social media just over 10 years ago. I was in school to become a creative writer, and I had a blog. I used social media to promote it and was noticed by the Toronto Path. And they said, "Can you do this for us from a business perspective?" I said yes, and that's how my career started. I left school and focused on social media full time. Fast forward 10 years, and now I own a social media agency that focuses on full-scale management for our clients.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know, the internet has really broken down barriers, and people can start their careers on social media now. I think that's fantastic. So we got a couple of overarching themes. We'll talk about some of the latest trends in social media marketing.
Yeah, latest trends. I'm gonna guess the big one is TikTok. How do you approach that platform? It's usually a question I'm getting a lot lately. Trends on social media are constantly changing. The algorithms are constantly changing what they're building, but there are some base principles that remain the same and go back to traditional marketing that we use in digital marketing to really get in front of the target demographic, resonate with them, and create this closed community loop around the product or service that the brand or professional is offering.
Yeah, I know in the United States, the CEO of TikTok, he had to go in front of they're considering banning it, and which is just ridiculous. It's like a company built a better product and outperformed U.S. companies, and now you're trying to
I think the only thing that hearing did was show how little the lawmakers understand the infrastructure of the internet and how it works. I think that's the only thing that it did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The political system here is for, but let's see here. Okay, so TikTok and really like short form content, video, vertical, and especially. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so TikTok, yes, short form content, but also I don't know if you've ever watched a 10-minute TikTok. Have you?
I have not. No.
Okay. So that's a newer feature they rolled out. It's not available to every single creator, but it is for some. And the reason why is because TikTok search volume is now surpassing Google.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So are you seeing trends more? Are you seeing, for example, is this more common with Gen Z and Alpha, Gen Millennials, or just all across the board?
So that's usually the biggest misconception that I'll kind of bust right away is it's not just Gen Zs on this platform. They probably are the most to create and publish out of all the demographics. But I actually have a stat breakdown on our Instagram feed of the age demographics on TikTok. And it's really, there's a lot of millennials, X, and boomers watching on that platform.
Mm.
So there's a very captive audience. The way that the algorithm is built is based on behavior. And so it's built to be addictive. And you have this whole large group of people that their attention is in that platform for hours on hours a day.
Yeah, it's my nieces like they don't even watch TV anymore. They're always on TikTok, just in YouTube. So, how can businesses leverage social media platforms to increase their online presence?
Yeah, so the first thing to start with is really understanding the target demographic. Increase your online presence. Why do you want to increase your online presence? You always have to start from there. So if we take it from a physician standpoint, What is a physician's goal with having an online presence? Let me ask you that. Usually, what is the main goal they have?
Usually to reach out. One is to educate, one is to market, one is to keep in touch with their patients, their client base. And, for subset, there's usually physicians can use social media for to build a brand, build a business on top of it.
Right. So now we're starting to see that the personal individual is a brand. So if we look at it from that perspective, then we need to go into psychographic and behavioral data. So what are the motivators of the different demographics on each platform? So Facebook, there's not a lot of Gen Zs that are using Facebook. So what are you going to do on that platform to reach the age demographic that's active on there? And I'll just keep it very simple. It's boomers. Boomers are on Facebook and they're very active on Facebook. So the way that you create content on that platform is going to be very different than the way that you create content on TikTok. So instead of looking at social media as I'm going to say this and then push it out to all these platforms, that's not the strategy anymore. That used to work. That's a very Gary Vaynerchuk way of doing social media, of, just say things all the time and it's going to get somebody's attention. Maybe, or it could annoy somebody. And if that message coming to somebody on Facebook is meant for a TikTok audience, then are they going to listen to you? Probably not. Or if you're creating your content on Instagram and then sharing it to every other platform, is that content optimized for the user experience of that platform? Right? Being that if you create an Instagram reel and then you upload it to TikTok, the algorithms are going to see the watermarks, they're going to read that data, and they're going to say, I'm not going to show this to everybody because you created this in another platform. So I really see one of the biggest, not mistakes, but things holding people back on social media is not treating each platform as its own separate entity. Yes, you can have commonalities in the themes of what you're sharing, but a lot of work needs to go into adjusting the tone of voice, the delivery of information, the way the information is delivered to your audience. Twitter, very different than TikTok. TikTok is watching, Twitter is reading. So those are very different demographics of people. Those are very different behaviors of people.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you're effective, basically your target audience, and there's different strategies, and you talk about go where your clients are. For example, a common objection to TikTok is I can't dance, or I'm not pretty. All of this. What are the most effective strategies for engaging with audiences on social media?
So the whole I can't dance thing is a very common misconception about TikTok. I'll give you an example of a way that I use TikTok as a millennial living on our own that has a faulty sink that it wouldn't retract back into my sink, which seems like a very simple problem. I didn't know how to fix it. So I went on TikTok to a handyman's account and they showed me how to fix that in 5 minutes. So it's not about dancing. There's this huge community of people that are teaching, that are sharing. There's niche communities. And then in terms of engaging those audience, with TikTok specifically, it's about being approachable and authentic. And I'm going to use 2 brand examples, Chipotle, the fast food chain, and then Gap. So Chipotle uses something called a UGC strategy, where they rely on their community to talk about their product and post content, and then they reshare that content. And they have millions of followers. Most of their videos are in the high hundreds of thousands of views. There's comments all over them. And then we contrast that to Gap, who at last check, I don't think they're over 100,000 followers. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, a lot of their videos have 14,000 views or lower. And the reason why is because those videos are created in studio with a whole production team. It's very professional. And that's not what's resonating with people on social media anymore. That perfectly polished look, it might work on Instagram, but it doesn't work on TikTok. So if you want to engage your audience, you have to create a human connection with your audience, which means don't worry about how it comes out. Don't worry about having the perfect TikTok. Just post. Say something important, post. There's little tips and tricks you can use, like use a marketing hook. I'll give you, do you want to know how to get 10,000 more views on your TikTok? Keep watching this video. That's a marketing hook, right? Because it tells somebody, I'm going to tell you this bit of information if you keep watching. So there's little ways of engaging that way. Some brands will use outrage as a strategy. We're seeing it now with Bud Light. And, what has happened? Bud Light is part of our conversation. Whether you're for them or against them, it's part of our conversation. Everybody's talking about them. They're getting millions and millions and millions of free views because they've leveraged outrage. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can engage an audience. When it comes to the individual and to the brand, you have to decide which tactic am I going to use that aligns with my values and that I want to be associated with my personal brand.
Yeah, I love that. And since you touched on some of the the do's and don'ts of social media marketing, and it's like a skill, so it's good to have like a general concept and then hire like a firm such as yours. How do businesses measure success of their marketing efforts? Is it followers?
Followers again. So one of the issues with social media industries, it's Facebook has been around for 19 years, I think. As an industry, when we do it as a job, it's really just past a decade. The way that we used to quantify success in the past was followers. But then we have this, we saw this infiltration of fake accounts, bot accounts. You can buy followers, you can gamify followers, use black hat techniques to get those people. So it's not honest. So when it comes to social media, the actual metric that matters is awareness. Followers are, if brands could switch their focus to, I'm going to generate as much awareness as I can versus I'm going to focus on building my followers, they're going to see much more ROI in terms of, bottom of the funnel marketing funnel. Social media, if we look at marketing in a funnel, social media is at the top. Our goal is to get as many eyes as possible, to get people to engage, to get people to visit your website. So in the middle of the funnel, the marketing person responsible for that piece, email marketing, SMS marketing, blog articles, has the ability to nurture that person into a brand loyalist, into a community member, and convert them into whatever it is, a sale, a member, a subscriber. So instead of going, oh, I want 10,000 followers, change the goals. I want 50,000 impressions this month. I want 25,000 engagements this month. I want to increase the rate of the commenting on my account. Because when you do those things, that's the metric that the algorithms are looking at to gauge whether or not they're going to show your content to a new audience. They don't care about your follower numbers. That's a vanity metric. And, I would argue it's just a lot of times it's an ego boost. And when you start to have people putting the emphasis on that number, then they're ignoring all of the opportunity that exists within the strategy that actually works to create revenue.
Really, that's awesome. I really love that. And it's like there's I think it's 1,000 true fans or 100 true fans, but you only need like a small segment, and they're loyal and they'll follow you everywhere and they'll support you. So with that, we can segue into how can businesses use social media to build loyalty and increase business.
Yeah. So if we take it from, let's take it from a physician point of view. When somebody is looking for a physician to deal with whatever issue, they want the person that's the most qualified in that space and that they have a really good personal interaction with, where they feel safe enough to be vulnerable with whatever bodily issue, mental, whatever the issue is, they want to feel safe with that person. So from a physician standpoint, you need to create that trust and you need to represent your expertise. So education is huge. If you specialize in something that can really help a lot of people, break that down and don't talk to your audience like you're talking to another physician. Put it in everyday language, in layman's terms. You can use AI to help you out with this. So my sister is a physiotherapist, and sometimes she'll go off on a tangent using all these scientific terms, and I'm going, explain it to me like I'm 5. And now with, programs like ChatGPT, you could take that information with all the scientific language, copy paste it into ChatGPT and say, explain this to me like I'm 5. And it'll give you an explanation and I'm not saying the average population has the ability to understand at a 5-year-old level, but when you simplify it that way, it's easier for people to connect to the message. So it's definitely making your information a little bit more casual, approachable, understandable, and really talking about the way that you can approach solving problems. That's the simplest strategy, is problem solution. You're having, let's use a dermatologist for an example. You have texture on your face from, and as you age, this is happening. Here's some products that may help with that, right? That's problem solution. Or you have a lot of neck pain do you work at your desk all day? Do you sit on your phone doing social media all day? Here are some solutions that can help, some stretches, some topicals, some treatments that can help with that. So education is a huge part of things, but explaining the approach to your process when it comes to clients. So what does the intake process look like? What information do you collect about your clients? How long do your clients work with you? Can you get your clients to create UGC, so user-generated content, about what it's like to work with you? That testimonial word of mouth side of things is still the most effective way of marketing. Word of mouth marketing will never be replaced by anything, but you can absolutely start to pull that into your online strategy and diversify out that way. So yeah, I would say from a physician standpoint, educate.
One thing, we talk about the physician community is a lot of physicians, they don't want to use social media because it can get them in trouble, or like these things with privacy. How can physicians and businesses effectively manage their social media presence, stay out of trouble, build a brand, and use it for what it's intended to use?
I would say hire a social media agency that will pay attention to the rules and regulations of your governing college, but also understand crisis communication and the things that we do and don't post on social media. If you cannot separate your personal from your professional, then do not manage your social media. That's this very simple thing. Politics, stay out of your professional social media. Your personal beliefs on what other people should be doing with their lives from a societal standpoint stays out of social media. Anything. I don't like outrage as a strategy. I think that it's just disingenuous. I would say don't lean in on outrage as a strategy. Like, I know that this is the controversial thing to say, but maybe don't say anything about COVID. I know with doctors, you'd think, but that's getting this whole community in trouble, and it has for the past couple of years. So instead of putting that out on social media, maybe if you need to talk about controversial subjects, do it in a gated community, do it on your Patreon, do it in a Zoom webinar, do it somewhere where, you're not just blasting that out to the general public, because then as soon as you put it out there, you can't control the narrative on social media as much as you can control the narrative on something that's gated, and you're really monitoring who's in your community and why they're there.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's interesting because, I scroll through social media sometimes, and there's all these algorithms try to get you to trigger you and get you to react. And so it's anything of that nature, you just have to either mute it, block it, turn it off. And the beauty of social media is you can direct the narrative, so you can, you don't have to talk about, these controversial, you're offering some level of value and education to your audience. So I love that.
Yeah, and that comes down to personal use and having boundaries around the way that you use social media. I always say to anybody, there's something I went through with my parents because they're newer to social media. I said, if you read a headline and it makes you feel an emotion, anger, sadness, any of these negative associating emotions, don't click on it, because that's what it's like. It's trying to get you to feel something, to click on it. That's what clickbait is. So I think we need to be a little bit smarter than the machines and really put some conscious thought in behind what am I consuming.
Yeah. And, this has been a great conversation, final thoughts, the future of social media, trends, predictions. How can businesses stay up to date with, so much change with, the algorithms?
Yeah, video content will always be prioritized. So if you haven't invested in your video strategy yet, you need to start. Claim all of your accounts across social media, even if you're not active on those platforms yet, because the popularity and the user base of the platforms will always grow and change with development, and start to get into the habit of learning on a regular basis. This is the most important thing. If somebody tells me that they go to school for social media, it's an automatic, I won't hire you. And the reason why is because it changes way too fast for a university to teach this stuff. So you have to get into the habit of self-teaching every single day, going to online courses that are usually for free, and really learning the ins and outs of these platforms. Instagram account, what we do is we just provide social media education. That's it. We don't really talk about our services that much. We just educate on social media as the platforms change. So find those voices, find those accounts, and really pay attention to them, because you can get the cheat codes just by listening to the people who spend all of their time every single day in these platforms as a job.
Yeah. It's awesome. Like, you can do all your research there. It's a fantastic tool, technology. I love this. I love talking about tools and how you can democratize and increase freedom. So how can people contact you, follow you, and reach out to you?
Yeah, so Monarch social media on all platforms, simple as that. www. If you'd like to contact me directly, it's just Holly at Monarch. We do work with physicians. We have a really awesome one that we're working on a crazy strategy for in the chiropractic space. So at the very least, I'm always open to conversations about what's possible, what pain points are that person is experiencing, without any obligation, because at the end of the day, social media is a tool. And we're with all of the changes that are happening in the internet in terms of AI, it's really, you just see this whole community of business owners, brands, personalities that haven't even dipped their toe into what they need to be focusing on from a digital perspective. So please reach out. We love having conversations. The best place to follow us would be on Instagram, because that's my favorite platform as a millennial. That's where I'm going to post most of the content.
And go where your audience and tribe is. Let's thank for the audience. Let's thank Holly for coming onto the show, talking about social media trends. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.